Well, hello and welcome to our Back to School Night presentation. I'm Mr. Olson, your son or daughter's broadcasting teacher. And before we get into the actual course and the curriculum, I'd like to talk a bit about myself. I always like to give the parents a little bio, and I think it's very appropriate for this course because I'm not a lifetime teacher. Yes, this is my 18th year here at Half Moon Bay High School, but this will be my 30th year working as the voice of the USF Dons at the University of San Francisco. I worked at KNBR Radio. I was the sports director there. I worked there for 15 years from the mid-'80s to 2000, 2001 when I was laid off during the recession, slow down time in the economy. I changed careers and became a teacher in a certain sense, but I held on to my nighttime play-by-play work, so I'm still very involved in media. I run the USF broadcast. I'm kind of our executive producer. I handle the commercial rotation, so I have a lot of experience in the broadcast world working on both sides of the glass, so to speak, as both talent and then a person behind the scenes that sets everything up, and that's what the kids do in this course. I'm going to talk about the class in a minute, but I think I can convey to your son and daughter a little bit about how it works in broadcasting. And for those that want to be talent, I can help them, have them be at ease on the camera. I'm on camera right now. And for those that are more interested in behind the scenes, I know some techniques about editing and storytelling and those sorts of things. So hopefully they'll glean something from me. I think it's a fun class, and we'll talk about it right now. Okay, what I'd do with you if I had you here in person is, do a little tour of our TV studio here on the Half Moon Bay High School campus on Back to School Night. We will do it virtually as I'll walk you through the studio. So this is where the students, if we were in a situation where we're not in this distance learning, this is where the students would be able to come and use the green screen as you see. And then we have a setup with a teleprompter, and it's a 2-screen setup, so we can have a student sit at this particular location and run the teleprompter, and then the talent student will sit over in this chair, and from their view, and I'm going to kind of move around quickly. Usually I don't like to move a camera this fast, but the talent student would then be able to look into the teleprompter screen, see the script on the monitor there. So it's kind of a nice setup. What I've told the students, and for you parents watching, see this big, huge green screen? Really expensive. You can buy small ones for home, fairly inexpensive, but you can also kind of create one. You can go to like one of the, places that sells poster paper for the students and buy, kind of neon green, maybe like, 5 or 6 sheets, tape it up, and you have a green screen. And obviously we can use the green screen for editing purposes. I'm going to kind of swing over here real quick and show you. This is the edit bay. We have a few of them, not in use obviously because of remote learning, but if we had students here, they can edit video projects. So we have, I'm showing them right now how to use iMovie, but what I have open here actually is Final Cut Pro. This is more layered, a little more whistles and bells, but basically for what the kids are learning, iMovie is kind of a good starting point. So that's kind of the, I guess, production aspect of the class. That's a little bit of a look, and I'll just swing it back around one more time of our palatial studios here up in room K9 at Half Moon Bay High School. There you go. All right, let's move on now to the actual class itself as we continue our discussions of the broadcasting class here on Back to School Night. So the class is divided into 2 separate semesters. In the first semester, here in the first quarter, we're really focusing on that first thing, the rules of journalism. So I'm setting the table with the students as they become broadcasters and they're producing the television news. I want to set the stage so they understand things about libel and slander, responsibility, the role of a journalist. We're talking about, things like the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, the fact that media exists as a business. It's private enterprise, although in our school setting, we operate a little bit differently. So really the whole first quarter, we talk about storytelling, story writing, and we set things up with how journalism works. In the second quarter, we kind of go through the history of radio. There's Alan Freed, one of the famous radio DJs of the 50s and into the early 60s. So we kind of talk about how radio developed, how it moved into the automobile, how it adjusted to the arrival of television. And of course, always throughout the first semester and really throughout the course of the school year, I'm working with the kids on editing and talking with them about storytelling. We just had a big session last week where we talked a bit about editing and we shared each other's videos. And the students are doing a tremendous job with some of the early video work that they're starting to send into me. In the second semester, it's all television. And, you know, the course is kind of based around broadcasting and doing TV news. So in the second semester, we kind of go historically. So we start in January with, you know, early TV, things like Your Show of Shows. Obviously, I Love Lucy. They'll get to see the Vitamita Vegemin episode. We move through the kind of family sitcoms of the 60s and into the 1970s. We get to meet this guy, Archie Bunker, and they'll watch an episode of All in the Family. And we talk about how TV changed in the 70s, and they talked about more realistic topics in television. You know, in the 50s and 60s, it was pretty generic stuff. So we will, the kids will see a lot of, you know, clips and snippets from various TV shows. As we move through the second semester, we'll, you know, we do a little history on news and sports, the history of the game show. Eventually, we'll talk about the arrival of the internet and how that's changed the broadcast world. And now we can watch stuff on our devices way more easily. Obviously, as we get into the latter part of television, the arrival of reality TV. But we'll cover a lot of stuff throughout the course of the first semester and the second semester in this class. And as we continually throughout the course of the school year, make the kids broadcasters, if you will. I want to emphasize for parents that for you, everything that you'll find about the class will be posted on School Loop, your ongoing grades for your sons and daughters, and continual assignments for the students. They're using Google Classroom. They're posting everything to me in Google Classroom, but I dual post, so everything is showing up in two places, on School Loop and in Google Classroom. Thanks for coming and to our virtual back to school night. I'm looking forward to a great year with your sons and daughters here in broadcasting.